Hi, my name is Grace and I'm going to show you how to do Dutch dressage braids. First, I'm going to show you the products to use, or the products that I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the total mane and control. I just like to put this in to help with the flyaways and everything. I'm going to end with some locking cream wax. This stuff just really keeps the flyaways down, and that's really important because you don't want it to look all frizzy and messy. So it just makes you have a cleaner look overall. And then I have a comb, and with this comb I also use to measure when I am doing my braids, which you'll see what I'm talking about later. And this sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. I do recommend to have a hair clip, which is easier when I'm doing my braids, so I can just hold the other hair out of the way. And then lastly, or second to last, I have a bucket of water. You can have a sponge or you can use a towel. Either works just fine. And then in my pocket, I have a bunch of bands that match the color of her mane, so you don't see it. So I will get started. First you want to do is just make sure that her mane is nice and brushed or combed out. Either works. You don't want it to be all messy, and just go through that. I also do recommend that you do the bridal path before you start braiding, so then you have a nice clean start to your braiding. So next I'm going to take my towel with water, and I'm just going to start wetting a good chunk of her hair. Wetting the hair really helps get good traction to the braid when you were doing it. It also helps with the flyaways as well. So I just like to get a good portion of her mane done so I don't have to keep doing it over and over again. And if you're doing this on show day, I do recommend being more careful so she's not all wet underneath. So now I'm just gonna spray the stuff in that I already talked about. Something I did forget to mention is you will want a stool, or I'm just using a muck tub flipped over. You really just want to be able to get right on top of her. You don't want to braid from the ground because you need the braids to be from above. So to measure out, I'm going to start with a good chunk, but we're going to measure with my comb. I take about until here to the silver part. It just depends on your horse. It's going to be different for everyone, but when you make the section, you want to make sure that it is completely straight. That is really important to make sure that your dressage braids are nice and even and look great. So if I feel like it's not enough, I just do a little bit more. It's all about playing and feeling with what you think works best. It's going to be different for everyone. And this part, like I talked about earlier, we'll just section it off. So you're going to get your 3 strands, just like when you would start any braid. And you want to be from above. So I'm just going to do a normal braid down. Make sure it's nice and tight, because if you don't start with a good foundation of a solid braid, then you might have loose braids in the end. You want to go down as far as you possibly can, and then take an elastic, just tie it off. For the sake of this video, I'm going to do a couple of braids and then show you how to tie them up. So we're going to do our sections again, and as we're going down, we want to make sure our sections are even with the first one. Okay, so I'm only going to do 3 braids and then show you how to tie them up. What I do that helps me the most is these ends, you want to hide them. So what I do is just fold it over, just like that, and tie another band around it. Okay, so I'm going to do that with all 3 of them. Fold it over to hide the hair. Okay, so now that's done, this part is really important. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold the braid like kind of like a fruit roll up, if you want to think about it that way. You just fold it under and just roll it completely up to her crest. And you want it to sit like right here. You don't want it on top of her mane. You want it on the side as deep in as you possibly can. And then you take your elastic and go around just like that. So then it's just like that. There's another way that you can do it where you put a band right here, tie it around, and then you do the same thing I just said. This might make it so it stays better. It's all just personal preference, but I just want to show you both ways just in case. So it's the same thing. You want to get as far as you can and then tie around. Now for everyone, this might be different. Again, everything is just personal preference and how you like it and how it feels when it stays. Also depends on the mane. But this is the best way for me. And if it makes you feel better, you can also put more than one band around, so then you know it's going to stay. But that is what a Dutch dressage braid looks like. So now I'm going to add the wax. It looks just like that. With this stuff, if you get this exact brand, I would be really careful because little goes a long way and you really don't want to add an insane amount. The whole point is just to get the flyaways down and just make your braids look slick. So just add it on wherever you think you need it. And this will also minimize trimming around the braid. Because if you go showing a lot, then this is definitely better. So then you're not consistently trimming. And then you'll end up with a funky mane. So with what the wax does not get, then you can go in with scissors and you can trim. But this is just a better way to avoid trimming all the time. Sorry, wait. No, you can keep it rolling. Give me a second.